Well, Frank, you've had a little time for reflection after that superb win at Imola, and there still are people who don't reckon that Riccardo Patrese is a top-line driver. Your comment?
Well, I think people who want to comment on motor racing should first of all look at the results, because as they say, it usually speaks for themselves. I mean, winning at Imola was a bit of a swallow, the first swallow to arrive. We hope there are some more. But talking about Riccardo and Terry, I mean, we have an extremely well-balanced team of drivers. They get on very well, which is nice in the year 1990, maybe a bit unusual. And at the present time, we don't think we can do better. They are both potential winners, providing the team gives them winning cars. And the evidence for that, Andrew, is in the past, Alan Jones turned up, underrated, he got a winning car and he won. The same with Keke and the same with Nigel.
So really, you still consider yourself something of a star maker in a way. You always were, of course, in your earlier days. So you look for the talent that other people haven't spotted.
That is definitely not the case. In the case of the three drivers we've mentioned, what occurred was it was the best driver we could obtain for the money we had available, etc., all the other parameters which you use for choosing a driver, and it worked out brilliantly for Williams, and I hope the same for the drivers concerned. The only comment I would make that one other driver from Northern Ireland was made a superb offer and declined it, much to our regret, and just maybe to his regret.
Of course, at the end of the day, I suppose the biggest consideration of all is money. You don't have an open-ended budget, as perhaps Ferrari does. Would, if you had an open-ended budget, you choose a different lineup?
The answer to that is that regardless of budget, we have a more than adequate amount of money for whatever we need in Formula One. We would first of all decide not what we could afford, but who we thought at that time for the following season was the best driver, or pair of drivers, taking into mind a World Championship, because we're here to winning World Championships, not this Grand Prix.
A lot of speculation towards the end of last year that Alan Prost was going to join you. Renault, of course, would have liked it. Was that ever a reality?
As we're talking today, I would think every one of the 30 drivers here is currently in discussions with all the other 12 or 15 teams here, and we all take part in that little picnic. Drivers do, team managers do. It's an ongoing situation. That's my answer.
No, but what I was asking you is about last year, something that's happened in retrospect. I mean, were you talking to Prost?
We talked to a lot of drivers.
If you reflect back, are there any drivers that have raced for Williams that you'd consider favourites?
Well, I'm smiling because Alan, I guess, is the favourite, maybe because he was a similar age to us when we all worked together. But he was very funny. And he was also, when he stepped down, in my opinion, resolute opinion, the very best. Prost was attacking them for the crown, but Alan retired much too early, I think, and when he stopped, he was still right on top. He just didn't realise it. He didn't take himself very seriously.
To switch now, Frank, to your relationship with Renault, it really seems to have blossomed, and a lot of people really didn't think it was going to work, did they?
If you're referring to the fact that 10 years ago the British teams and the French and Italians took opposite sides of an argument, then I would just say, Andrew, that it was only 6 months ago the Berlin Wall came down. I mean, everything in life changes dramatically in any period of time or history. And I would like to substantiate the fact that working with Renault was very constructive, and I think is going to be very rewarding as a long-term partnership, no doubt about it.
Well, of course, one of Frank Williams' most successful drivers, Keke Rosberg, a face still often seen around the paddock. Andrew Marriott caught up with him to ask him exactly what his role is nowadays in the world of Formula One.
What would you describe as normal work for Keke Rosberg?
A good friend of mine asked last week, said, what's your normal day like? I said, there isn't one, you know. Normal work is marketing, consulting, management of young drivers, and basically everything around motorsport still.
Of course, you're still keeping a very active interest indeed in Finnish drivers, particularly J.J. Leto, but presumably he's not very happy at the Onyx team.
Well, I wouldn't say he's unhappy with the team. Things aren't as they should be, you know, and I'm happy that at least he got another 50-lap experience today, and hope that he will make his way in Formula One.
Of course, back in Britain, two Finns totally dominating the British Formula 3 Championship, Häkkinen and Salo. Have you got an interest in those as well?
Well, not an interest, but I do manage Häkkinen and try to help him in all possible ways to develop his career. And I think both Häkkinen and Salo are very special. It's probably their greatest unluck that there are two of those guys. Otherwise, one guy would have been winning already everything, whoever it was, and would probably look like a superstar already now. It's difficult for people to believe that there will be two superstars, both coming from Finland, you know. But I think they're very, very potential future drivers.
Keke, you are retired. Rumours last year you might come back, and then you made that guest appearance at Spa in the 24-hour race. What was that all about?
Well, it's just a way of driving race cars, enjoying myself after a long break. And I'll just wait for the rumours to start this year again, you know. They never give up.
You're going to stir those rumours up?
No, definitely not. But I'd like to go and try a modern Formula One car. I mean, try an e-car, not just to play with it, to see how the cars are, and obviously to see if I can still do it, because it's always interesting to see, do you forget it or don't you?
People did suggest that you possibly retired a little early. On one of the most exciting drivers out there on the circuit. You seem to be in your prime and you just gave it all up.
No, I didn't give it up. It was a time schedule decision. I decided in the way the 22 years of every weekend racing, it has to be stopped one day. And it's very difficult to say, do you stop too early or do you stop too late? You know, I mean, a good friend of mine once said, how long is a piece of string? You know, it's a very good description. How long should you keep on driving?
Well, Keke Rosberg's most successful years obviously spent with Williams, and we stay with Williams for the time being for our technical file this week, which centres on the fascinating world of Formula One telemetry. We've been speaking to Bernard Dudot, Renault's technical director of sport.
It's a fantastic tool for an engineer to work about the engine, for the mapping, for the tuning of the engine. And really the main progress we made this last year, it's about the telemetry. We have a picture, and this picture is all the parameters of the engine. It is like a radioscopy, if you like, of the engine, and we know everything about temperature, pressure, RPM, and we can follow each parameter, the principal parameter of the engine, each lap. For the driver, it is a very exciting, interesting thing, because now the driver can concentrate only, this is mean to drive, on tire, balance of the car, but nothing, a very small thing about the engine.